Hey everyone, it's good to see us all back here for a new video. So in this episode, we will be testing out some Nvidia graphics cards for Ravencoin and Ethereum mining. As far as you understood, it will be very interesting, so hit that like button now. Hitting the like button will give you access to secret settings which increases performance on these graphics cards. So I will go in quickly through the details on this machine, what I'm using, what parts I'm using for testing these settings, for testing the 1660 Ti graphics cards. You probably have seen on my previous videos, I'm using these cases now, closed cases for mining rigs. This is an 8 GPU case with a riserless motherboard. This is Chinese made. The only downside on these cases is if you are bothered about the noise, you don't use them. It's about 50 decibels loud, 50, 60 maybe decibels loud for this case. So yeah, the only downside, all the rest is upside. It's much better cooling in these cases because it has high efficiency fans to cool down the graphics card. So I'm using here is 8 Zotac 1660 Ti graphics cards, and it does have also 1650 watt power supply, Chinese power supply. There's no issue to use these power supplies, they work just fine. As you can see, it has PCI connections for each graphics card. Each graphics card has one 8-pin PCIe connection. So yeah, another thing, I wasn't able to run these cards on the HiveOS firstly, because the newer series, what I was reading, the RTX and the 1660 Ti's graphics cards, they need, some of the motherboards need to switch the PCI speed to Gen 2. So this was what fixed the issue. I had I couldn't figure out for a couple hours what's wrong with it, why the rig didn't boot. So I did that, and rig was booting fine after then. Otherwise it's working perfect. So we can compare these GPUs to small, powerful shovels because they give a good bit of performance in mining for the size they have. I did already a video review on these graphics cards about 6 months ago or so for mining Ethereum, but now Ravencoin mining with these graphics cards, it is very efficient. It's very efficient to mine Ravencoin with these graphics cards in terms of price per watt, the watt per hash and the price per hash. So it's very good. So this is the video we will do to compare, which coin is the best to mine for these graphics cards. We will mine a little bit Ravencoin and the Ethereum, and we'll see the profit calculator, what it gives us, which is the most profitable coin to mine with these graphics cards currently. So the first test, what I did is I overclocked the graphics card plus 150 on core clock, plus 1400 on the memory, and the power limit to 115. The total performance was 128 mega hash at the maximum for 8 GPUs, and they were using about 1100 watts from the wall. At these settings, the graphics card performance slightly increased from the stock settings, but also the power usage increased. So as soon as I started to reduce the power limit, the graphics card hash rate started to drop, but also the power usage from the wall also did drop. So I decreased the power limit to 100, and the mining speed dropped by about 5% to 118 mega hash for 8 GPUs, and it was using about 950 watts from the wall. Dropping a little bit power limit, it makes sense if your power costs is very expensive. So if your mining profits, 50% go to profits and 50% go to paying your power bill, it makes sense to reduce the power limit lower. That way you reduce only 5% of the hash rate, but you reduce 10% of the power usage from the rig. So in that way you save more by running the rigs with a less power, and they also are a lot cooler and much more stable. So when I tested Ethereum mining, I increased the memory clock to 1800, and in that way I got about 29 megahash from the graphics card, which summed up at 230 megahash from the mining rig at 650 watt. They are very efficient for Ethereum mining. They are very good watt per hash. But unfortunately, when you insert this data in Profit Calculator, Ravencoin is much more profitable to mine with these graphics cards than Ethereum mining. From Ravencoin, you would mine today $4.88 for these 8 GPUs, and the same GPUs mining Ethereum would mine $3.57 in 24 hours. I know that GPU mining profit on the graphics cards is still very low, and it's more like a hobby, but these would be the most efficient graphics cards to choose. If your electric rate is very high, this is one of the most efficient graphics cards for Ravencoin. So 1660 Ti is one of the best graphics card currently for mining. It's very good watt per hash, it's very good price per hash, as it's a value graphics card. So this was the review on the mining rig with 8 of these cards. What's the coin best to mine? Ethereum might be better to mine with the RX 5700 GPUs, but the 1660 Ti is the best card for mining Ravencoin. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet already. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. Mine hardcore or don't mine at all.